Okay, so we're diving into LEIL Lowndes, how to talk to anyone.
Lots to unpack here.
Yeah, you handed me like a whole stack of excerpts, so
Yeah, it's communication gold.
it really is.
Yeah.
And I think we all struggle with that
Yeah,
sometimes.
for sure.
So much good stuff in
I
here.
know, right? Where do we even begin?
Well, she starts off talking about first impressions.
Makes sense. Right. You never get a second chance.
Exactly. And it's funny because she says good posture
Mm-hmm.
can actually be like a barometer of success.
I like that.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and she uses this analogy
Sure.
of a circus acrobat using an iron jaw bit
Okay.
to get that, like, perfect posture.
I'm picturing it.
So you're about to walk through a doorway,
Yeah.
and hanging from the top of the frame
Uh-huh.
is this imaginary iron jaw bit.
Okay.
As you pass through, you take a bite.
Oh, I see.
It pulls your cheeks back into a smile,
Okay.
straightens your spine, lifts your entire body into alignment.
So like magic.
Exactly. It's all about training your body to project that.
I can see how that would make you feel more confident.
Totally. And then once you've nailed the posture, then comes the smile.
Because everyone loves a good smile.
Absolutely. And Lenz talks about this technique called the flooding smile.
What is that?
So instead of just grinning ear to ear,
Yeah.
the moment you meet someone, she suggests delaying it a tad. Let it spread slowly across your face,
I like that.
as if it's dawning on you.
It feels more genuine.
Exactly. It does.
Okay.
It tapped into that whole idea of delayed gratification,
Uh-huh.
so it makes people feel like your smile is just for them.
No, that's a good point.
Like it's a special moment you're sharing.
I like that a lot.
Right.
Yeah, that's really good.
Instead of just like plastered on as soon as you see someone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to look like you're...
Forcing it.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of making someone feel special,
Oh, here we go.
there's the whole eye contact thing,
Yes. This is a big one.
which Lowndes calls sticky eyes.
Sticky eyes. And she calls this a psychological lethal weapon.
Okay, I can see why.
So imagine your eyes are glued to your conversation partners
Yeah.
with like warm taffy.
Oh, okay.
And you maintain that connection even after they've finished speaking.
Interesting.
It conveys this really deep sense of interest and respect.
But again, you don't want to overdo it.
That's right.
I can imagine if someone's just staring intensely at me,
Too much of a good thing.
that would be a little strange.
You've got to read the room.
Definitely. So you've got the posture, the smile, the eye contact.
Nailed it. What's next?
But then you actually have to say something.
No, the dreaded small talk.
Right. That can be so awkward.
It can be, but it's also a chance to build rapport.
I like that perspective.
And Lowndes talks about this idea of being prosaic with passion.
Okay, break that down for me.
So it's not about trying to sound brilliant
Right.
or dazzling them with your wit right off the bat.
You don't have to be a comedian.
Exactly. It's about meeting them where they are, matching their energy,
Okay.
and finding that initial point of connection.
And sometimes those points of connection can be pretty simple.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She even uses the example of talking about the weather.
It seems mundane, but it's something everyone can relate to.
Exactly. You're finding that common ground.
Building a shared reality.
Exactly. And from there, you can branch out into other topics.
Precisely. It's like a conversational springboard.
Okay, so the ice is broken. Now what?
Now it's time to get creative.
I like it.
Lowndes suggests something called the what's it technique.
The what's it technique. Okay.
It's about wearing or carrying something unusual
Interesting.
that can act as a natural conversation starter.
So like a piece of statement jewelry
That would work.
or a unique watch or...
Anything that sparks curiosity,
I see.
a conversation piece.
So it gives people an excuse to approach you
Right.
and say, hey, that's interesting.
Exactly. It breaks the ice in a fun...
Non-threatening way.
Exactly. So smart.
It's a good one. Okay, but what if you're aiming to connect with a specific person?
Okay.
Not just anyone who happened to be intrigued by your what's it.
I see. So you're being strategic.
Exactly.
Got it. Got it. In those cases, Lowndes suggests the who's that technique.
Who's that? Okay.
And it's about being strategically inquisitive.
So you're doing your homework.
Exactly. You find out a little bit about the person beforehand.
Oh, I see. Like maybe they're into art or they're a big foodie or...
Whatever it may be,
Hmm.
you find those little nuggets of information
Okay.
and you use them as a springboard for conversation.
Oh, I like that because then instead of awkwardly trying to come up with something to say,
Exactly.
you already have some insider information.
It shows you've done your research.
Yes, and it shows that you're genuinely interested in them
Exactly.
as a person.
Which is always a good thing.
That's so important.
Right. You want to make people feel valued.
Okay, so now we've covered making a grand entrance.
We've covered a lot of ground. From posture to sticky eyes to what's-its and who's-ats.
This is great, but the real challenge is keeping that conversation flowing.
Oh, yeah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Because once those initial introductions are out of the way.
Right, how do you move beyond the surface?
Exactly. That's where we move beyond the surface and into the territory of making a genuine connection.
And that's what we're all craving, right?
Exactly. Real connection.
And Lowndes has some fascinating insights into how we can do that.
I can't wait to hear more. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm in a conversational rut.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like I'm having the same surface level conversations
Right.
over and over again.
It can be challenging to go deeper,
It really can.
to forge those more meaningful connections.
Yeah, exactly.
But don't worry, Lowndes has got some tips for us.
I hope so.
She does. She does, like, the Never the Naked City technique.
Oh, yeah. That one seemed really helpful.
It's brilliant. Instead of just saying, I'm from Chicago.
Right, which is so boring.
It is. You give them a little something extra. Like, Chicago, the city of blues music and incredible architecture.
I like it.
You're painting a picture.
You're giving them a taste of what makes your city special.
Exactly. And it makes them want to know more.
Yes. Instead of just being like, oh, okay, Chicago.
Right. Where do you even go from there?
Exactly. Okay, so that's Never the Naked City. What else?
Okay. Let's see. Oh. This one's good. Word detective.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
So instead of just passively listening,
Mm-hmm.
you're really tuning in.
Right.
You're listening for those little clues.
Like what?
Any unusual words or phrases they use?
Okay.
Topics they light up about?
Oh, that's so smart.
That's how you uncover their passions.
I love that because you're
Yeah.
right. We don't always come right out and say, this is what I'm passionate about.
We don't. It comes out in those little moments.
Exactly. And if you're really paying
I
attention,
pick up on those cues.
and then you can ask follow-up questions.
Exactly. It shows you're genuinely interested.
It takes you from small talk to we're actually having a moment.
Exactly. It's like you're speaking their language.
I like that a lot. Okay, so I'm trying to be a word detective.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really listening.
You got it.
What else can I do to build that rapport?
Well, Lowndes talks about echoing or mirroring.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. Like
Yeah.
subtly matching someone's body language.
Exactly.
I don't know. I always worry that that would come across as creepy.
I get it. It's all about being subtle.
Right. You don't want to be like a mime.
No, no one wants that. But those subtle things can make a big difference.
Like what? Give me an example.
So if they lean in, you lean in.
Okay.
If they take a sip of water, you take a sip of water.
I see.
You're creating that subconscious sense of connection.
I can see how that would work.
Ugh.
But it's subconscious, right?
Exactly. They don't even realize it's happening.
That's kind of trippy when you think about it.
It is. Our brains are weird.
They are. Okay, so mirroring is one thing,
Uh-huh.
but then there's scramble therapy, which sounds a little more,
Adventurous?
yeah.
I know, right? This one's fun.
Tell me more.
So Lowndes says we should periodically step
Uh-huh.
outside our comfort zones.
Oh, like trying new things.
Exactly. Learn a new language. Take up pottery.
Go skydiving.
If you're feeling brave.
That's a little too much scramble for me.
That's okay. We all have our limits.
I like the idea, though, of challenging yourself to try new things.
Right, because it opens up your world.
It does. And
Yeah.
it gives you something interesting to talk about,
Exactly.
which is kind of the whole point, right?
It is. And speaking of having interesting things to talk about,
Yeah.
Lowndes talks about learning a little bit of what she calls gobbledygook.
Gobbledygook? What's that?
So it's basically the jargon, the hot topics
Mm-hmm.
related to your conversation partner's profession or interests.
Oh, so if I'm talking to a bunch of artists,
Yeah.
I should brush up on my art history.
Exactly. Or if you're chatting with a group of musicians.
I should know my Beethoven from my back.
You got it. It shows you're interested in their world.
Right, even if you're not an expert yourself,
Exactly. It's about making that effort.
to connect on their level.
Precisely. It's all about finding those points of commonality.
Because sometimes the strongest connections come from the most unexpected places.
Totally. Like a shared love for a particular type of food.
It's so true. Food is such a universal language.
It really is. It brings people together.
Okay, so we've talked about mirroring, scramble therapy.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But I feel like we're just scratching the surface of what it really means to connect with someone on a deeper level.
You're right. And luckily, Lowndes goes even deeper.
Okay, good, because I want to know more. I'm ready for those deeper connections.
I hear you. And we'll delve into all of that in the final part of our deep dive.
I'm really realizing how much goes into a good conversation.
It's like a dance.
It is. All these little subtleties.
Body language, tone of voice.
Word choices.
It all matters.
And Lowndes talks about this technique called parroting.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a way to deepen that connection.
Mm.
But it's not just about repeating what they say verbatim.
No, it's more nuanced than that.
Okay, good.
It's about reflecting back, not just their words, but also the underlying feeling.
Oh, I see.
So if someone's telling you about this super frustrating experience,
Right.
instead of just saying, oh, that's annoying,
Yeah.
you could say, wow, I can see why you'd feel so frustrated by that.
So you're acknowledging their emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're validating their experience.
And that makes them feel heard.
Exactly, which is what we all want, right?
It really is.
And that ties into another point Lons makes about becoming a you firsty.
You firsty.
Okay, what's that?
It's about shifting that focus from me to you.
So it's not about me hogging the spotlight.
Exactly. It's about genuinely prioritizing their needs and interests.
Okay.
Asking engaging questions.
Uh-huh.
Really listening to their responses.
So they feel like they're the most interesting person in the room.
Exactly. Because let's be honest, who doesn't want to feel that way?
It's so true. Okay, so be a you firsty.
Good.
Got it. What else? Let's see. Oh, this one's important. Compliments.
Everyone loves a good compliment, right?
Absolutely. But even giving a compliment effectively is a skill.
Oh, totally. I've definitely fumbled my way through some awkward compliments in my day.
We've all been there.
Like nice shoes.
Yeah.
When they're clearly not that nice.
We've all done it, but Lowndes has this great tip
Okay.
for crafting what she calls killer compliments.
Killer compliments. Okay, I need to know this.
So it's about identifying a quality that the person genuinely values about themselves
Okay.
and then praising them for it.
So it's not just about complimenting something superficial.
Exactly. It has to be genuine and heartfelt.
So if someone's always striving to be a good listener,
Right.
I might say, you know, you have this incredible ability to make people feel heard.
Perfect. Because you're acknowledging something they take pride in.
It's like you're saying, I see you and I appreciate this amazing quality you have.
Exactly. And those are the compliments that really land.
They make a lasting impact.
They do.
Mm.
Okay, ready for one more?
Hit me with it.
This one's about asking for favors.
Ooh, that can be tricky.
It can be, but Lowndes breaks it down with her favor formula.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It all boils down to making the other person feel good about helping you.
That makes sense.
Right. No one wants to feel used.
Exactly. So how do I do that? How do I make it less about me and my needs?
It's all about framing.
Okay.
So instead of just launching into your request, you start by highlighting how helping you will benefit them.
Oh, I like that. So it's like a win-win situation.
Exactly.
Okay, give me an example.
So let's say you need a coworker to cover your shift.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, can you cover for me? I have a dentist appointment.
Right. Which sounds kind of selfish.
It does. You could say something like, hey, would you be able to cover my shift on Friday? Because if you do, I'd be happy to cover one of yours next time you need to get out early.
Oh, I like that so much better.
Right. It shows that you're not just thinking about yourself.
You're offering something valuable in return.
Exactly. And it appeals to their sense of reciprocity.
So smart.
Right. Lowndes is brilliant.
She really is. I've learned so much from this deep dive.
Me too. It's amazing how much these little tweaks can make such a difference.
It really is. So I guess the real challenge now is putting it all into practice.
Exactly. Take these tools out for a spin.
Experiment, see what works.
And remember, even small changes can have a big impact.
So true. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
And that's what it's all about, right? Building those meaningful connections.
That's what it's all about. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into how to talk to anyone.
Anytime. It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, happy connecting, everyone.